Welcome, Reinhard, once again. Thank you for joining this information session where we are collecting or discussing a vast number of topics about project management, program management. So I'd like to welcome you to this podcast series.
Thank you. Hello. Yes, good evening. But I think on the other parts, it's good morning and good afternoon.
So it is afternoon for me here. So I'm in San Francisco and you are in Germany. So we are kind of opposite side. But yes, we are on same side when we talk about project management. So thank you once again. And thanks for people watching and providing their comments and liking, disliking, whatever it is, but are enjoying from these discussions. Love to know more about your liking. So in this series, I'd like to talk about, we're going to talk about responsible project management. So this is a very burning topic. Yes, we're not just talking roles and responsibilities, responsible project management. And given that you've done a lot of work in this space, Reinhard, and I'd like to bring that knowledge and learning to the audience. And we're going to have discussion around what is responsible project management, what is responsible project managers and organization, what are the roles, that we'll talk about it. Your thoughts on this, please.
I agree. It's really a burning topic. And if you look back into the history of project management, I think the main focus was always how do we do projects, what are the management techniques and the methods and the tools. And it's really relevant. But nowadays, if we look into the world and the challenges, the fires in California, the floodings in Germany and in other places, the heat waves in other parts of this world, I think we have topics. And so the question is, why do we do projects? How do we do our projects? And what do we do to support and solve those challenges of the world? And this is why responsible project management is looking into the purpose of those projects, and also into how we do projects and whether we act responsibly in that regard. And when we talk about responsible project management, I think that's very important. It's not only the project manager that we are addressing here. It is starting with those initiators, the sponsors, the owners, the people that have an idea that they want to realize. And it certainly also starts with the goal setting and the idea, the objectives that you're looking for. And if those are just limited to, I want to have profit, but not taking into account people and the planet, I think you are falling short, and that's not really working anymore. So it's the whole organization that is doing projects, all people that are in the way involved, and they need to take their responsibility or accountability that projects are managed in a way responsibly, but that also the outcome and the effects of it and also the side effects take that responsibility into account.
Yeah, so sometimes we focus on the gains, as you mentioned, profit, gain, immediate benefit to the customer, to the client. And what about the byproduct, which is coming out from, let's say you are a chemical factory, and that byproduct can be dangerous for the population. Ideally, most countries, that is illegal to put that waste into the water or into the underground or anywhere. You need to do something before that can be released to the environment. So if not followed, then something you have to take as a project in the project management space or as organization leaders to stop this happening or do something with that.
Absolutely. And it's not only about environment. That's certainly a very focus area right now, but it's also people. So for example, if you do a project where you have a high time pressure and you require people to do overtime and they end up in a burnout And in Germany, we did a survey on how prone are project managers to become a burnout syndrome, which means they are sick over a long period of time, and it's even not sure that they can return to their job. And these numbers are increasing of people ending up like that, and that's irresponsible. And so also from a planning, resource planning, time schedule, we need to be very careful. How do we set up such a project not to overstretch people and risk their health?
Yeah, actually, it's a very, very important point, especially, it has highlighted now that, because of Corona, almost 90% of workforce were working from home or working from away from office. The danger is, yes, you don't have to travel, yes, you don't have to travel anywhere. You probably save 1 hour, 2 hour in daily commuting. But now, because you are at home, you don't see the start and end time. And you may start at 7 o'clock. As soon as you see an email from your boss or the client, and you start replying, and you got another email, meeting after meeting. You didn't have lunch or you don't have breakfast at all, and you're stressing, mental pressure is there. And people are, sometimes they don't realize that they are getting into the, depression or social isolation. And that is actually very, very big problem. As you correctly mentioned, it is now coming to surface that this is going to be a major problem, depression and mental problems, and also what you call societal thinking going on, because there's no social. And when we are traveling to office, 2 hour, 1 hour, whatever, but we do have a weekly Friday evening get together, having drinks together or social gathering, you see, you talk to other people, you can refresh your mind, you re-energize yourself. But if you continuously looking at the screen, looking at the numbers, talking to the people, on the screen, yes, talking is there, but talking to the people on screen, it is not very helpful. That is where, as a project manager, can take a responsibility. Hey, we need to have a structure where everybody have their time to think, to make some decision, and also as a project manager, you have responsibility to take that what's happening on the ground, because these people don't know. The people sitting, they just want to have profit and get me the things done faster. But as a project manager, you can actually stop that happening to your people. I think that's where the responsibility of a project manager lies, definitely.
That responsibility starts with the top management of an organization.
Yeah.
And typically it's laid out in a code of conduct or code of ethics or anything like that. And this responsibility is also delegated down to the project manager. And it starts with scheduling, resource planning, and so on. And if you do not really have enough resources for the project to meet the timeline, then you really need to red flag that and to say, okay, that's not possible, and stop or ask for a resolution, and not say, okay, it will be solved somehow and we will manage. And because at the end it's on the shoulders of your team, and I think that is not acceptable. And I think PMI and IPMA, those association, they have for that purpose also developed a code of ethics and professional conduct.
Yeah.
If you do or undergo a certification in either system, I think you sign also that you agree and comply to this code of ethics. And I think that's very important, that it reminds you to your responsibility to society and the people not to do things like that. And sometimes we forget that because a lot to do, and we are passionate. And I think that's a character of a project manager. We are passionate, we want to get things done. But we need to have a step back and see what we are doing and whether this is really responsibly towards the society, to nature, people, planet, and also profit at the end.
Yeah, so Yeah, so, whatever we promise, first of all, before we promise anything, we need to evaluate our strengths and weaknesses. As you mentioned that, yes, we have limited people, limited machineries and equipments. So we cannot promise what we cannot achieve first, but we need to know the capability and capacity analysis. And that is very, very important. And based on that, you promise, yes, a little bit over here and there, people are there to actually really support the project and project managers to get the work done. But if you ask them again and again, it's kind of, you're asking favor, but you ask the favor again and again, asking them to stay overnight and, the weekend and this and that. First of all, they will run away. If they have a choice, they will run away. And second is their health is going to be impacted. Their family is going to be impacted. Their social life is going to be impacted. At the end of the day, you might get some work done, but you don't have long working relationship with them. The person will die or maybe have disease or family relationship. All will start impacting your project.
Yeah, and it's also a direct negative impact on your business.
Yeah.
Because if people work 10 hours a day or more, which is not allowed in Europe at least. So we have a generally agreed working hour that's maximum 8 hours a day. And if you from time to time need to do a bit more, that's up to 10 hours possible. But then you need to give the time back to the employees over a certain period of time so that they can relax. But if they work up to 10 hours, the likelihood of that there are quality defects, any problems occurring it's increasing significantly, and there's a cost to that because you need to fix that quality defect, and so at the end the cost is higher than the profit you might want to take out of that exploitation of the resources. So I think it's on the long run really stupid to act like that. Besides the legal issues, I think it doesn't really make sense to do so. And another point that you mentioned, that people may run away. I see also a big trouble with the young generation. So here in Germany, at least, we have really problems to fill our positions. And the young generation, and we did a survey on that and asked them what they are looking for. And they say, we need an organization that has a really good purpose. Purpose means that there's something meaningful and that their job is something meaningful, so that they also have, let's say, the possibility to act in a responsible way. And if they have any indication that an organization is not supporting that, they would not even start with that organization. So as an organization, you're not attractive anymore and will not have the right number of people to do any business anymore. So I think on the long run, it pays off acting responsibly.
Yeah. So plan properly with knowing that your capacity and act accordingly. Don't expect miracles from your team. Of course, sometimes it can happen, but not always. Allow them to have their own time, family time, and re-energize them, by giving them holidays if required. And, when they come back, have the right training actually, right? If you ask somebody who's a less trained person to do more than what they are, they will try. Many people say, yes, I will do it, let me try it. But they are putting pressure on themselves. Now they're also thinking, hey, my performance is going down, I will be rated badly, or many things. So if you know that the person don't have the right skills, get them into training program. Go through the training and let them learn and then put on the job, right job.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, yeah.
Many organizations are also doing corporate social responsibility initiatives. And that's also investing into such a topic. So using project management capabilities to do something good for society. So what we did here in one of my companies I was working for, that from time to time, once a month, everyone invests the time and works maybe to support elderly people, to build a playground for a kindergarten in the near neighborhood. So then you can show off and show your project management competences, but you invest that in doing something good. You have a social impact. And that's not only something that you profit from, because it pays back to you. You pay back to the society.
Yeah.
But it also creates also an atmosphere and let's say a spirit where your organization, yourself, are seen in a much better image for society. And I think that's also more healthy on the long run to do something like that.
And actually, very important point. And it's many times you think that, oh, my organization has not asked me to do this. Why should I take this extra burden on myself? And you know, the things like that, you know, take your team, let's say to support kindergarten or doing, you know, helping old people. They cannot, you know, do for certain things or making their home livable. These things, it not depend on organization. And you know, as a project manager, you can take the initiative. Of course, you go through the, you know, proper approval process or something. You don't know the situation. You take your team there, and something happened, and now you are in trouble. You need to follow all the required approval process and making sure insurances are covered, and you know. But take your team out, do something responsible, which can make a difference to not just to organization, but to the local, you know, to the people around you.
In Germany, the German Project Management Association is conducting a mentoring program where experienced senior project managers, besides their full-day job, help either young professionals to grow into that profession of project management. It's a volunteer, it's a non-paid pro bono activity, or what is also very helpful, because we have a lot of charities. They do good work, they do it voluntarily, but they don't have any project management skills. So senior project managers helping those charities to organize their good work in a better way. And that's very powerful because, you help those people to help the society, and there's always a payback. And the payback is very simple. I've done that in Nepal and many other countries. So if you look into the smiling eyes or the smiling faces of those people that are the recipients of that mentoring or coaching, wow,
yeah,
it's 1,000 times better than any payment or any paid job, right?
Exactly, and that's the self-satisfaction, fulfillment. And you, as mentioned, you know, their eyes, when they look at you, as you have changed their life forever or given a momentary happiness, that's a big thing. You know, it's not about running around the money and bigger houses, big, you know, yes, you may feel happy for a little time, but this is your momentary. But when you're helping other people, that continuously come to you and make your life even better. So yeah, you know, and if people see you, your team actually see you as a leader, they really want to work for. Yes, there are times when your organization not doing good, you're not able to pay enough to keep your staff. But when they see that this project manager or this company actually helped them when they were in need, they are ready to help the organization and the project manager to do anything for them and make them successful. So they see you as a leader.
Absolutely. Now, if you look into the project management, our discipline that we all know and love, it's also how you develop your project charter, the goals that you set, the objective that you want to take. And I'm always stressing it's not only the deliverables at the end of it, but it's also the benefit, the long-term benefits, and especially now, again, the people and societal benefit that you create through the project. And maybe I've already talked about it. There was this big earthquake in Nepal, and the question was, okay, doing a big program to reestablish that all that buildings. we could have just financed a construction company to rebuild, and that's it. No, but if you do a project that you say, okay, you train people that they can rebuild, and during the training, immediately you be to rebuild more resilient or earthquake resilient houses. But then, if you choose the right people, maybe minorities, and you look for a long-term job so that they end up in a job after this training. So you see, you have multiple beneficial activities that help in the end to be responsible, and there's a big social impact, and that is so amazing. If you see the setup of the project can lead into a huge social benefit in the end, and that's, to me, acting responsibly.
Yeah, that's right. So acting responsibly. So yeah, so we need to understand as a project managers what, of course, we are working for organization, what's their goals and objective, and how we're going to align ourselves with their expectation, with the consideration of the capacity, and the direction, your skill set you have, and accordingly you will be working with your sponsor, your stakeholders, keep them informed. One of the responsibility of a project manager is to keep your stakeholders informed about what is happening on your project. Keeping the transparency is the biggest thing, believe it or not, because if you keep them informed what's happening, they can also support you when you're in trouble. And if you don't show them what's happening, you'll start losing the trust. And the moment you lose the trust, your project, you may not get the required support from them.
I would even go a few steps further. So first, also a project manager I work with are very creative people. And you can even show your sponsors alternative solutions, maybe solutions that are creative and create a social impact that the sponsor may have not even considered in the beginning of that project. So I think that's also one responsibility of the project manager, to always show alternative solutions to any challenges he may see in the project or in the team or whatever in the circumstances. But there's also the other side, and it's maybe sometimes really bringing you to a certain point where you need to say, no, I cannot continue working on that project or in that role because I do something illegal. If I continue that way, I harm nature or other people, and a lot of accidents happen actually on construction sites. And that means not per se to be a whistleblower, but to say, okay, stop. My responsibility is to say here, I will not continue. Or you may change the setting of the project, but otherwise I need to leave that role and do something else. And I know that's very difficult because at the end you need to find a new organization or a new job. But think of the consequences if you continue in such an unethical way. I think the cost, or let's say also you will have nightmares then in the evenings, and I think that's not something I want project managers to end up.
Yeah. Many times we think short term. Hey, what about me? What about my family? What about, that's what of me. But as you mentioned, if something wrong happening in the organization, or they're not listening to what is happening, what is the correct way or better way of doing things. And there's a problem, may not be now, but maybe 20 years, 30 years, 50 years down the track. Yeah, I think we should not be silent about it. Somehow we should be reaching out to right authorities. Maybe the organization, if organization not listening, maybe outside of organization, the government or whoever, without thinking about self, thinking about long term and for the wider population and for the environment. That is, I think, more. I think that's where the social responsibility comes.
Absolutely, but it may bring you into difficult circumstances, and in the early 90s, I worked at Enron, and you know that case. And there was one of the people or employees of Enron that brought up that story, and there are movies about it. And I think it was always all made public. But at that certain point, that person was in a very difficult situation. Shall I make it transparent, or shall I continue the system? And you know the cost in the end, because thousands of people lost their jobs, they lost their pension funds and everything because of that behavior of a few of these leaders. And so I think it was the right choice to make that transparent, because that's responsibility of people seeing it and stop it in that way. And I think there are many situation projects where we need to act responsibly in that way.
Yeah, and also we need to learn to say no. Sometimes, we just say yes, 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 and we are in trouble, the team is trouble, and we are setting impossible deadline for ourselves. So as a project manager, we need to learn how to say no. This was one of the things I learned from my manager. I was on the client, on the vendor side, and whatever clients say, yeah, we can do it, I would say, look, first thing you have to learn how to say no. It's not, you have to be polite, of course, but you need to be reasonable. With justification, this is why we can or cannot do in the time frame you're expecting. If we are doing this, what else we should be stopping? Okay, we can take this one, it's urgent work, we understand, but that means we have to stop the other two projects going on. So they need to understand, otherwise what they're saying, okay, you do it, and what about the other two projects? What's the status of them? Hey, we are human beings, we are not magician here. So you need to be transparent about your team strength and weakness as well, and with your clients, and client need to understand what's really happening. And as you mentioned earlier, it impacts the quality. And the client can keep asking, hey, do this, and also expect the quality of work. Then they need to know, hey, if we are putting extra work, the quality will suffer. Are they ready to accept the quality impact on that? So as a project manager in the project manager space, you need to take responsibility for your team, for your organization, for your client, everybody. You have to look around. Where is my responsibility lies, and how can I satisfy that responsibility without impacting the social, environmental, or my team, or any other things.
And also, it's not only this threat, but it's also the opportunity side that you are always seeking for, let's say, this long-term benefit and social impact. And that just means be creative, find maybe alternative solutions to production or any process. And that helps to add maybe an additional benefit that was not intended in the project. And then you can be really proud. And sometimes it's small solutions. It's not huge one. So I'm in an organization that's a charity. It's called WAFA, Water, Air, and Food Solutions, and they award very small organizations, sometimes pioneers in developing countries, how to collect water and make water available to other people. And it's amazing if you see with no money, but just with creativity, what's really possible to achieve. And we should look into those examples and make them available to other countries and to lever that ideas.
Yeah, definitely. And as we said earlier, one of the very important responsibility of a project manager is to know their own capability and capacity. If they are lacking somewhere, hey, we're not trained as a project manager, first of all. And I'm yet to find a school where they're teaching project management from the kindergarten. We are told how to read, how to write, how to do mathematics, and maybe we're getting into some of the other skills, but project management is not there. So maybe you're an accidental project manager, which many times happen. You are a good team leader, or you're a good coder, you given a responsibility of project management. You don't know. So take a responsibility. Hey, I think I need to learn how to do my projects even better. Reading books, there are lots of books available. PMBOK, 6th edition, 7th edition as well now. And many other books, IPMA have their own books, and this program management books. So you need to know, hey, can I read books? Can I talk to other people? Can I work with other mentors? Or maybe get some training program, yourself, your team members. And if you are lifting yourself up, the team is getting lifted as well. So look for opportunities where you can build your knowledge. And the thing is that nowadays, so much knowledge available on YouTube, on LinkedIn, or wherever you see. You need to find what is good direction for me, and look for even things like the video like this. We have been doing this video for a long time. You might find some tricks and tips which can help you doing your job better. So not only always look for paying money for training, good to see that, but what can I do with the limited resources I have to upskill myself, to upskill my team?
Yeah, exactly. And there are many organizations, like, for example, Responsible Project Management in the UK. They have a lot of events and workshops where they, on a voluntary basis, just discuss how they can support society and nature through project management capabilities. There's PM4 NGOs that is just delivering trainings and education forms to support NGOs in doing a better job, and many others, Project Managers Without Frontiers, for example, that help on an international basis to support also social initiatives in other countries. But let's not forget our own country, inside our society. So whether this is quarters of cities or the change of cities into smart cities, there's always a social component where you can help, let's say, the community within a certain district to do projects for water, for waste treatment, or whatever. So yeah, so many projects that require our competence in managing projects. I think there's a lot to do. And the challenges are even growing now, if you see that in the world. So we need to really act responsibility to help our society to move on.
Perfect. Great. So would you like to conclude this discussion by a few words before we close the topic? What is the,
I think what we have talked today is that project managers, that projects, that organization that do projects really should look at it very thoroughly and act responsibly. And that does not only mean to prevent any damage to the people, to the nature, to other factors in that context, but also to look deeply into the social impact they can have, to add benefits to the project charter that support, in addition to maybe the profit, but also benefits to the people and the planet. And I think that's something that is on the top agenda now of also the PM associations. And you can contribute as a project manager to that. And that's paying back to you also. Just do it.
Exactly. I mean, if you, as you correctly mentioned previously as well, that ethics, every organization, or even the PMI and IPMA and other organizations, they come up with the charter, ethics of what is acceptable behavior. So as a project manager or as professional in that space, you should be familiarizing yourself what is expected by the organization, what is expected by the PMI, what is expected by IPMA or other organization, and abide by them. Yes, there's some flexibility, but you need to be careful where the boundaries start and stop. So great stuff. Okay, thank you very much, Reinhard. It's another wonderful topic we had today, and I'm happy that we have talked about various things within this. So I'm sure people will find this useful. And I actually love to see comments from people, like whether they are finding this any useful or is another gossip. People say, oh, this is another gossip, but this is, but the experience you're showing so far is, I'm sure people benefiting from that. And that these discussions will keep keep them learning, and hopefully they will grow better and more responsible project managers.
So maybe that talk has a social impact. And I would be very interested to learn from those listeners and that the people watching our videos, what they have done in that regard.
Exactly. I'd like to know please share your stories. If something you have done to take the responsibility, love to know about it. All right.
Okay. Thank you and see you next time.
Thank you very much. Bye.